Good morning, everybody. So today, is student of class standard 8th, I will be taking up crop production and management. And before I begin the topic, I request all of you to sit with copy and pen with your textbook on, so we can study this chapter. Basically, you all might have got the various PPT presentation and video presentation on this topic. So you already know some of the things. So I will just revisit the whole chapter in brief and hope to clear the doubts that you might be having in your mind. Okay. So let's begin. So this crop production and management basically feed or deals with the growing of crops in the field. And you know, the growing of crops in the field is referred by the term called agriculture. So agriculture is the word which is combined with two subwords. One is agri, other is culture. So agri means field and culture means to cultivate. So that means to cultivate and the field in order to grow crops, as well as to domesticate animals. So these two words combining, that is crops and domesticating animals, come under the topic called agriculture. And since it has two terms with it, so for crop cultivation we use the word agronomy, okay, agronomy. And for animals domestication we use the word animal husbandry. So that means both animal husbandry and agronomy together makes the topic agriculture. So write it down the meaning separately. And since we basically deal with the crop cultivation in this chapter, so let us see what normally a crop definition stands for. So write down, it is a plant or the plant products. Write both the terms. Okay? Crop means they are the plants or the plant product that we grow and harvest. That we grow and harvest. So that we grow and harvest for profit, and a new word comes in, or profit or subsistence. Okay, subsistence. So it is grown in the field so that you gain profit and the life can further progress as it should be. So underline these terms, that crops are the plant and plant products which can be grown, or you can write from your books also the same kind, the plants of the same kind that are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale. That definition also hold goods. But sometimes we do ask you this question here, and that seems to be different a bit more. Sometimes you might get a question that differentiate between crop and crop, you know, same term, same word, everything is same to same. So nothing to do with the computer cropping, but something is quite different here. So this crop we have just defined, that the growing of same kind of plants. Now this crop, the second one, is the part of the digestive system, okay, digestive system in birds. Okay, and what is the function of that we will study about, but for the time being you should know it is a part of a digestive system in the birds, where the grains that they consume are grinded with the help of grate. So that topic we'll do it after some time. For the time being, you should know that these two terms are different terms, okay? So let us start the crop that is for our study line. So this crop is further categorized into various categories. So write down the first one is food crops, food crops. So you know food crop, the name give you the answer. So these are those crops which are basically under heading fruits and vegetables and grains. In particular, grains are the main topic for us here. So food crops means fruit, vegetables and various types of grains. The second category is feed crop, F-E-E-D, feed. So feed crops are for livestock consumption, okay, livestock consumption, that is for cattles. Underline the examples such as oats and alfalfa, repeat the same word again, alfalfa, these are the feed crops. Then write down the third option or the third category under this heading, and that term is referred as fiber crops. You might have read in geography also. Fiber crops, as the name states and suggests, it means those crops which are used for textile and paper products. You can have an example called cotton, basically a common example. Then write down the fourth category called the oil crops, O-I-L, oil crops. So again the name is the option itself. So these are those crops which are been grown to produce oils used in cooking industry. So underline the example, olive oil or coconut oil, groundnut oil, we can go for that. Then write the next one called the fifth category of the crop called ornamental crops, okay, ornamental crops. So these crops are generally grown for that purpose of ornamentation. So one example is common to all is called tulip, a flower grown in the nation called Netherlands, if you have some of the information about it. And then write down the next category under the crops called the industrial crops, okay, industrial crops, okay. And under this cropping pattern we have rubber and tobacco. So basically you have to read these categories and definition in brief. So you should be well informed about these various categories. Now move to the second page of your textbook, where you have two different cropping patterns. So these two are very important. One is called Kharif, other is called Rabi crops. And these two crops normally come in terms of examination, always in particular. So just write down the differences one by one on both sides. Just draw a tabular form like that. So for Kharif crops, write down they are sown at the beginning of rainy season, okay, beginning of rainy season, that is between April and May, you can call it. So they are put into the field in the beginning of the season, rainy season, while Rabi crops are sown at the end of monsoon, okay, or you can say beginning of winter season. Winter season. That is between September and October. So these are the first point of difference between the two. Now let us see the other points for differences. So you can pause the video and write down the whole sentence because I am writing in brief. So you should write in complete sentence. So for second point you write, they are also known as monsoon crops, okay? Monsoon crops. While they are known as spring crops. Because of the seasonal difference, they are called as by these names. Third point, the Kharif crops depend on rainfall pattern because for them they need more water. So rainfall pattern is the deciding factor. There you can write they are not dependent on the rainfall factor. So that is a simple point, not too much to learn about in terms of complexity. Then fourth point for the two, in case of Kharif, you write they require a lot of water because they depend on rain, require lot of water. Lot means really lot of water. While Rabi crops, they need warm climate, okay, warm climate for seed germination, okay. Then fifth point, you can give examples. Under Rabi, we have rice, we have maize, we have bajra, cotton, etc., okay. While in case of Rabi, you write the example of wheat, then grams, then peas, barley, the list can go. So write down these differences and make sure whenever this difference comes, you have to write 4 of them minimum, okay, and practice it, write it down number of times because this normally is basically always in your question paper. Then you move to the second page, right hand side, we have the various type of agricultural practices, and these agricultural practices you have to learn them in the order. So let us see first the preparation of soil. So soil preparation, and this soil preparation is one of the most important part of agriculture. Here we have to loosen and turning of soil, okay. So when we loosen turn the soil, we use the word tilling or we use the word plowing. So in order to do that, because preparation gives the soil its life, you can call it, because soil need air, so we need aeration for it, hence it has to be plowed. Then we have to break the crumbs, and these crumbs breaking is called leveling, you can call it. As a result, they become even and it is easier for putting the seed into the soil. So in order to prepare the soil, we have to we required agricultural implements. So check out in the book page number 3, the all implements are shown there, the plow, the hoe, and in order to understand these terms, you have to draw this diagram for hoe, because it is the agricultural implement used to plow the field. So please draw this diagram by looking at it, and make sure you have to learn them also. Then modern time, we use the machine for plowing and tilling. So that is the cultivator heading, and cultivator nowadays is become a basic implement for agriculture. So after you plow and till the field, naturally you have to go for putting the seed into the field. under the heading called sowing. Okay. Now this sowing can be done with the help of machine as well as with the help of hand. If it is done with the help of hand, we call it broadcasting. Underline that word or write it down. Broadcasting means putting the seed into the soil with hand. Okay. Then we use lot many tools also for sowing categories. So you can see check out the diagram under the heading called traditional tools for sowing, and then the latest called the seed drill. Again, it is a diagram is shown there. So that drill is used to put the seed, and here you should know one thing, that you must know the significance of seed drill, because sometimes we ask you what is the significance of seed drill. So significance you can write, number one, that the proper depth is maintained for the seed, and number two you can write that proper distance is also there. So the growing plant get proper nutrition as they grow and give you the yield. So seed drill nowadays is quite a handy machine for sowing the seeds. Now once the seed has been put into the field, then naturally it needs ingredients to grow, and these ingredients are under the heading called manure and fertilizer. Okay. So manure and fertilizers. So for manure, it is the organic matter that normally we get it by decomposing the various components such as the leaves and the vegetable matter, cow dung, everything which has been coming from the products or animal waste product, you can call them, or plant waste products. So that is referred as manure. While fertilizer is, it is the inorganic. Make sure it is the inorganic component which is been prepared in the factories. So check out the page number 7 to get the differences and learn them very properly and write them number of time again. It is again a very important question here for you people. So manure and fertilizers. So with manure we have some advantages also. So in case of manure, the advantages runs like that, though we have all the points marked in your book, but I just take 1 and 2. Number 1, it enhance the water holding capacity. Okay, enhance water holding capacity of soil. And number 2, that you can say it improve the soil texture. So there are 4 points, but these 2 points are must. Okay, soil texture is improved. This is for manure, but it has one disadvantage also. If it advantage, disadvantage also. For disadvantage, number 1, it is voluminous and bulky. Okay, so it is very hard to carry it. And number 2, it is not rich in nutrients. So it is not specifically nutrient rich. As a result, plant needs number of types of nutrients. So we can't depend only on manure to get the plants all nutrients. Hence, the second term come in the field called fertilizers. Okay, and these fertilizers are inorganic salts. We already have told you. Number 2, since they are rich in nutrients, so they are required by the plants, and they can be carried in bags. So as far as transportation is concerned, that is not an issue with it, and they fulfill the requirement under the heading called NPK. So we also call them NPK salts. Okay, N stand for nitrogen, P is phosphorus, K is potassic or potassium. So these salts, so here I will prefer that you should write down that plant's main nutrition requirement NPK and secondary requirement is sulfur, magnesium and calcium. Okay, write down them separately. So number 1 under main category NPK salts, and number 2 secondary is sulfur, magnesium and calcium. So in order to fulfill all these requirements of the plant, we use fertilizers, and you should know some of them name. So first is urea. So underline the formula for urea. You can write CONH2 twice. Okay. So this is the formula for urea. Then second fertilizer you can write as the name's suggestion in the abbreviation called CAN. Okay. So stand for underline the name and write down properly. C for calcium, A for ammonium. Okay, ammonium, 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 and N for is nitrate. So calcium ammonium nitrate is the second salt under fertilizer. So these examples you should be knowing them. So once you applied the fertilizer and the manure into the cropping field, so crop get the further nutrients for growing. Then we come the next topic, irrigation. Okay, so irrigation is must, so that the things supplied to the crop are absorbed by them. So irrigation means what? The supply of water to the crops. Okay, supply of water, and this application of water required certain time frame, proper process. So under this supply of water we have lot many sources, so that you can check out on page number 8 of your textbook. So we have two segments, one is traditional methods and other is modern methods. Under traditional method, underline all those terms which has been mentioned there one by one, such as motor, then chain is there, chain pulley or chain pump. Then for modern methods, because normally we sometimes ask a note on the modern methods of irrigation. Okay, modern methods of irrigation with diagram. So make sure diagram should be also known to you. So first is a drip system. So as you know, drip system, the word give you the answer that the water is being put into the plants in the form of droplets, drip by drip, and due to this drip system the water loss is minimized and water goes where it is required for the best option. And second is the sprinkler system. And as the name says, we form a sprinkle with the pump and the tube, and it is being irrigated into the whole stuff. So underline these two terms and read the page number 9 for the explanation with the diagrams. So these two are the modern system of irrigation. Now the topic, once we irrigate the field and your crop has grown, then naturally you know if crop grows with in the field, and with crop we also have unwanted plants growing into the field, or unwanted crop you can also call it, grows, and these unwanted plants are referred as weeds. So these weeds, if they grow, has to be removed because they compete with our plant. Compete means they compete with food, they compete with nutrient, they compete with sunlight, they compete with water. So as a result, our plant main cash crops suffer and the weed grows. So we have to remove them. So removing of weed is referred as weeding. Okay, it is referred as weeding. So once we weed them off, so we call them weeding. So weeding is can be done in two ways, whether you do it manually or you do with chemicals. So manually you read it from the textbook, they have mentioned quite nicely there. With chemicals, When we use them, we call them weedicides, okay, weedicides. So sometimes we ask you a note on weedicides. So one of the chemical in your textbook mention is 2,4-D. So write down its full form, 2,4 dichloro dichlorophenoxy, okay, phenoxy, write down completely, 2,4 dichlorophenolic acetic acid, okay, acetic acid. No, the name is a bit long for you people, but since the name is in the book, we have to read it. So dichlorophenolic acetic acid. So it is a chemical used to control weeds and spread into the field. Since these chemicals are very toxic, so they need a special equipment to spray, otherwise it might harm the farmer also. So the instrument is called knapsack, okay, knapsack, that you can see in the figure on page number 10. The boy is spreading these weedicide with the machine on his back and the spraying outlet in his hand, and you can see his mouth and eyes are all covered. So these are some precautionary measures that we should take it. So after using these chemicals to remove the weeds, and finally our crop is grown, so when the crop is grown, it has to be harvested. The harvesting of crop is done again in two different methods. We can do it manually also, or we can use a big thresher, or now we have a machine called combine which do all the things simultaneously. And so there is two terms in that harvesting topic. So check it out. One is threshing, okay. So threshing means that removing of chaff from the grains, okay. Chaff is the outermost covering in which the grain is stored, you can call it. So that threshing can be done with the help of wind also, under the heading with the machine, and then the outer covering can be removed by the process called winnowing. So threshing is somewhat different as compared to winnowing. Threshing means just to remove the chaff, and the farmer on the small holding of land do the same thing, removing the chaff from the grain by winnowing. So if threshing can be done with machine, you can call it. Winnowing is been done with the help of wind, but the same thing in order to remove the outer covering of the grain, okay. So once the grain is being removed, or the chaff is being removed from the grain, then these grains need to be stored. So storage of grains is done in two different ways. So we call them the storehouse as silos, which is a big container in which the grains are stored. And once they are stored in silos or granaries, again we have to follow some rules, regulations. So when the grains are stored in the granaries, they make alleys. Alleys means the way in which the spraying of some chemicals is done, so the grains are not damaged. So here again we have a chemical called EDB. So write it down. Stand for ethylene dibromide, okay. So it is again a chemical used to kill the various types of infestating agents which might attack the grains when they are stored in the granaries, okay. And Buggy, you can read the textbook for the granary stuff. And finally you have the topic that's just been touched, you can call it, the first topic of this whole agricultural practices, called animal husbandry. So read the definition of this animal husbandry, the last page of this particular chapter, and that gives you an idea that how we domesticate the animals under various headings, okay. So some of the term you can read from the net also. One is called breeding, then is feeding, then is heeding, then is weeding. So these terms will be clear when we have regular class, because it needs some definitions with explanation. So breeding, feeding, breeding, yeah, B-R-E-E-D, feeding, F-E-E-D, then heeding, then weeding. Weeding means to remove the animals which are not good for commercial aspect. So under these heading we will study about the animal husbandry. Hope so that you have got some of your clarification done, and must view all the PPT presentation that is been sent to you, and make sure write these notes and learn them properly. And this chapter, if you have still some problem or difficulties, you can just ask me in the WhatsApp group, and make sure that when you study this topic, these notes must be referred up. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Have a nice time.